So, welcome. This is AI and Big Tech's impact on mental health. Um, as mentioned, I'll give it one more moment, but I'm gonna open up the next Slido question, which is our bubble, our thought bubble, which is what do you think of when you hear AI? When someone says AI, what do you think of? Um, the reason I ask this question is because what we are seeing is the marketing for this technology has been rather robust, and there's a lot that is not true. And there's a lot that is incredibly overblown, as many sectors have uh, learned or are currently learning the hard way. So, um, go ahead and again join the Slido. It is in the link is in the Zoom chat. Um, the QR code is gone now. But about me, as y'all answer that question. As mentioned, I'm Cassie. My pronouns are they, them. It is Trans Awareness Week. I'm non-binary. Hi. So please make sure that you are using the correct pronouns. Do not use she for me, ever. Um, I am Black, I'm queer, I am a lot of things, both things that are doing things and things that are just being things. I have a lot of doing things that I do. So I am a licensed clinical social worker with a trauma specialty. I do a lot of advocacy. If you have heard of the alternate pathway for social work licensure, hey, I help do that. Um, if you have heard of death doulas, I'm one of those. I also do a lot with tech and gaming, which is why I am here, because these are areas that are rapidly expanding and a lot of people see dollar signs around, and we really need to remember um, our ethics and our communal responsibility and our ethics of care. So we're going to talk about that today. I am not going through my whole resume. If you'd like it, feel free to email me. I'll be happy to send it to you. All right, some ground rules here. Um, Please do keep in mind that this is a learning space. Therefore, it is not safe. It is brave. You may feel some discomfort, and that is okay. We do not learn and we do not grow without some level of discomfort. Please, if you notice that you're the type of person who frequently steps forward, that is wonderful. Make sure that you are also making space for others to grow and contribute. If you're someone who usually sits back and just is completely silent, please feel free to step up and take space, ask questions, engage. Um, I am hoping everyone's here with good, honest intentions. As Kamisha said at the welcome, we're not here to get into knockout, drag out brawls. We're here to talk and learn. And the bias of this space and the bias of me is we value people over dollars. Just because something is exciting and profitable does not mean that we're going to sign on to it. So that is something you can expect in this space moving forward. Um, you will notice I am breezing through this stuff because we have a lot to get through. Self-care, please take care of yourselves. Uh, Eat, drink, be merry. What you need in order to stay engaged, you know you. All right. Oh, Canva, you got rid of my graphics. That's cute. All right. Well, this is a little hard to read. It was supposed to be a big caution sign that says we will not get through everything. Um, because we won't. This topic has multiple areas and multiple functions. Um, Technology and artificial intelligence and machine learning are massive there are multiple different ways to use them. There are multiple different ways they are being used, as you will see. We're not going to get through everything, not even close. So do be aware of that. Um, I can talk rather fast, but we only learn at a certain speed. All right. So the biggest thing y'all said when asked, what do you think of when you hear AI, was efficiency. Um, and then we had a rather even split between fake videos. Well, I'm not going to read them all. Between a lot of other things, including types of AI and machine learning and different media and stuff that has portrayed it, as well as just whether it feels, some people felt overwhelming, bias, environmental concerns. Um, we had some folks put a lot in there. Thank you everyone for joining the Slido. I see most of us are now in there. So, um, the new poll has started. It is a true or false. Um, so I've kind of given it away. Artificial intelligence is a multidisciplinary misnomer. What we currently utilize and experience is not intelligence. It is pattern matching. Um, it is algorithmic prediction, and machine learning. Our definitions of intelligence require a certain level of cognition and non-input driven choice making that is not currently present, or uh, or possible at this point in time. So when you hear people talking about artificial intelligence and various kinds of artificial intelligence, please, I want you to start to think about what they are actually talking about, because it's not intelligence and it's not spontaneous. So the most common AI that you are hearing about, and again, AI is being used as shorthand for dozens of different technologies and processes. What we are most often talking about is generative AI. This is a form of artificial intelligence that is designed to produce an output. Is particularly where we're seeing it the most on the consumer end is, and really on the business end, is text, photos, and videos. So various media content. Um, and so that uses a lot of different um, there are a lot of different ways to create this. The most common, and I'll get to this more, but the most common is, you'll hear the acronym a lot, LLMs, large language, um, or yeah, LLMs, language learning models, or large language learning models, depending on scope, but they did not add a third L. Um, so learning models, algorithms, machine learning. These are all the things that we're talking about. So whenever you use something like text to speech for your notes, uh, that's speech processing. That also falls into some of these categories. Um, when you think of your like chat GPTs and things like that, what those really are is a form of AI that specifically a self-supervised LLM that is trying, it takes in all of the data and predicts what the most likely answer to your input is. So when you think about chatbots, that is how most of them work. The way that this AI algorithms and application map by Marilee Nika works is, you start with the type of learning in the center. That's the yellow part. This is how the this is how the technology is trained. Okay? Um, and so that means something, right? Some things are closed, which means you input the data, it learns what you want it to learn, and then it learns specific functions based on only that data and bound by only the inputs you taught it. Other things like self-supervised learning, which gets us into your most common user-focused things like the LLMs, um, those learn off of these data sets and then predict. This is also why we see so many issues in these models, especially the bigger they get, because they then start to learn off of their own information and it breaks them. And it is at this point really hard, in some cases, depending on how far down the line you are, impossible to prevent and impossible to remove. Um, so large language learning models, LLM, not two M's, um, are taking the inputs of information. In this case, it's a lot of language. It's a lot of the, so if you are using an LLM, uh, Chat GPT, for example, OpenAI is the company that created and owns Chat GPT. And so they have scraped um, a bunch of stuff and put it into the model so that it can answer your questions or produce things based on your query. And so, based on all of the input, it has learned things and it takes all of that and it averages it to match patterns and predict, and then it spits out the response. It doesn't, because it's not intelligence, because it is pattern matching and machine learning. Um, that also means that it is prone to significant errors. And as we're going to talk about in a little bit, significantly prone to what we now call hallucinations. And it can get anxious if you talk to it about trauma and pain. More on that later. So again, there are a lot of different kinds of machine learning and product that comes from it. And like I said, different sectors use all different kinds of things. If you all remember a couple of weeks ago when the in like half of the internet just completely broke and went down, that was because one server had an issue, because Amazon Web Services, you'll see it over here near the regression optimization side, um, to your right on this on this chart, on this map, sorry. Um, Amazon Web Services actually powers most of the internet. Most of the websites and apps and things that you use uses their servers, because there is a essentially like server for rent model, because it takes a lot of power and a lot of money and a lot of space in order to run the data centers and and server houses needed to do all the things we do on a daily basis. Everything from your email account to this Zoom meeting requires bandwidth. It requires servers and connections and a lot of wiring and technology. Um, and so, because of the way we here in the United States have chosen or not chosen to invest in technological infrastructure, it's privatized. And so when one company has an issue on one server, it takes out half the internet now. This is something that we really have to keep in mind as we become more and more reliant on technology to try and address our equity and access and workforce gaps. Um, because it is it is scarily easy to disrupt and break. And there's a huge access issue as far as what internet people have, if they have it, and how good it actually works. Um, and so I'm not going to go through all of this, but I really want y'all to understand the scope of when someone says AI, this isn't even exhaustive, right? We're not even going to talk about, we're going to mention it a little bit because it's important, but like we're not going to heavily talk about the medical imaging AI machine learning softwares, right? A lot of therapy stuff is up in the self-supervised learning branch. That's where a lot of the stuff that y'all are trying to be sold to use and that we are being kind of inundated with. That's where a lot of that lives, but there's so much more. So much more. Like I said, we're not going to get to everything, but I do think it is deeply important that we understand that when people say, oh, yeah, AI, we're not talking about one thing, not even close. We're talking about dozens and growing daily. When I was making this presentation, when we talk about AI, when we talk about tech, AI, and mental health, I was updating this presentation 10 minutes ago because last night the APA finally put out guidelines around around responsibilities of clinicians uh, in talking about and dealing with specifically like chatbots and consumer-based generative AI and clients. I updated your resources and things that you're getting from me. So my handout is now like 24 pages, but it does include the entirety of that APA bulletin that came out yesterday um, because it is important and we are seeing people die. Um, so, like I mentioned, a lot of what we're seeing are chatbots. This is not new. This technology is not new. The first time mental health tried to make a chatbot, like a therapy bot, essentially, was in the 60s. Far older than me. And it was called Eliza. There's also a really, like, the video game's really good. You can play it and check it out. It's a good cautionary tale. Um, but Eliza was a program and a therapy chatbot that tried to mimic a Rogerian therapist, specifically because it's a lot of repeating back and reflection, Rogerian therapy. And so, and it built off of the doctor script, which was another program. So I also, when people are like, oh, this is so new. No, it's not. We've tried this before. We've tried this multiple times before in multiple iterations. About every couple of decades, we get another chatbot boom. Um, and it's just the technology is evolving and how it works. Um, Speech processing, that's the kind of stuff where it asks you to listen into your sessions and then makes a note. Again, it is trained and then learns off of your session and tries to synthesize that data into a like whatever is expected based on its training. Um, Content generation, so the like write a note based on this treatment plan, right? You upload a treatment plan and then you have it write a note, for example, right? That is another model that is content generation. Um, and again, that is going to be using most likely an LLM. And then personalized medicine. This is being used to tailor treatment, not necessarily so much in mental health right now. Um, but we're seeing it more around like genetics testing and pattern matching for risk and things in physical health, in radiology. We're seeing a lot more work around like colon cancer and things like that. Um, Practice management companies. These are your Headways, your Almas. Um, they this is on the tech side, right? So again, we're talking about multiple things here today. We have technology broadly. This is going to include everything from your Google Drive that if you haven't signed a BAA for is not HIPAA compliant. Um, and even if you did sign a BAA, might not be HIPAA compliant, but stealthily and illegally, um, to your EHR softwares or similar platforms that are not EHRs, but still house a lot of your practice and things. Um, what the direct to consumer model technology, those are your BetterHelps, your talk spaces. Um, they've been in the news a lot because they scrape therapist data and falsify directories and their ethics. They've been sued by the federal government for selling therapist and client data to third parties multiple times, constantly. Um, and then our EHRs. This is your Insoras, your Simple Practices, your Epics. These are the specifically built for healthcare to house our documentation companies, some bigger than others. Obviously, Epic is a massive conglomerate that has an entire Disney World type office complex that is wild to see. Uh, if you've not Googled Epic's corporate headquarters, you should do it. It's wild. It's like a whole fun land. There's replicas of Oz and stuff there. Um, because tech makes a lot of money. We don't. So, oh, I have been doing more. So, there are going to be popping up. Please make sure you're paying attention to Slido. The new question that is up is how knowledgeable do you consider yourself to be about technology and AI? I will say on the true false AI is intelligence. 30% of you thought it was intelligence. 70% said false, that it's not. False is the correct answer. Artificial intelligence is not actually intelligence. It's pattern matching, machine learning, and predictive analytics and predictive algorithmic science. Um, we have quite the split between somewhat yes and somewhat no on the how knowledgeable. So this is where I start to ruin your day. Please bear with me. We are failing. When it comes to learning about these technologies, understanding risk, and implementing change and using them in appropriate manners, we are utterly failing and we are failing to protect our clients. Um, Ethically, right now, the competence for understanding what you're using, how it is using you and your data, and how to mitigate risk. Cyan did a study. It was looking specifically at the practice management platforms, and an overwhelming amount of therapists said that if like Alma and Headway were owned by insurance companies, they wouldn't use them because they wouldn't trust them. But they are. And you're still using them because people didn't know, because they didn't do their diligence, Every single therapeutic profession has has a professional ethical responsibility to stay up to date with the research and to have training and competence around whatever you are practicing. That is not happening with tech. With tech, people are taking platforms and they're taking applications at their word. And then when we are doing studies and looking at what people know, there is a huge deficiency. You have 86% of people using, I think it's 86%. Hold on. I think I actually put the notes on a different slide. We'll get there. Um, but the biggest mm, I'm getting ahead of myself. The point here is if if we come strictly from a professional ethics, we're talking APA, NASW, and license marriage family. If we're talking about the therapeutic ethical frameworks just for the professions, we're not doing well. People are putting client data into Chat GPT. People are using ChatGPT and OpenAI backed softwares, which are not HIPAA compliant and they are not covered by HIPAA. You are, so you're going to be the one to get in trouble for it. We've seen it with lawyers already who have been disbarred for using AI because it lied. It has lied on medical records and it lies in legal filings. These technologies as they stand currently, especially the consumer models, their own reporting, Microsoft's own reporting on its newest, on some of its newer Copilot product has overall accuracy at 46%. Um, People are using this for their records. Now, again, closed and open are different, designed specifically for if you work at a large like insurance company or hospital, and they in-house designed their own stuff. That's different, likely also much more closed um than using an open AI based or backed model or integrating in from Microsoft. Um, so when it comes to honesty and integrity, clients are pissed about this as well. That is a failure to uphold the privacy and confidentiality of your clients. um, we have healthcare providers, not just in therapeutics, but I had to ask questions in my own doctor's appointment a couple of months ago because I hadn't been asked to sign any consent form, but there was a poster on the wall that says your appointment may be recorded for because they were starting to integrate AI note taking. We have to do better. Um, and Headway's been sued multiple times, Valerie. Um, Headway has done non-payment with therapists outside of other stuff, non-payment with therapists, and then misuse of data. Just so you know, Simple Practice is an EHR. I haven't seen any lawsuits on Simple Practice. I know people are pissed about their user interface updates, however. Um, but I haven't seen anything criminal with Simple Practice. But that is also an EHR, not a PMC. Um, and so, yes, insurance company and Headway is funded by insurance companies. That's also why people saw their reimbursements go down once they hit a critical mass of providers because the insurance companies put into these platforms And then they get enough therapists that they can then lower the rates. And so it actually undercuts our earning potential and our ability to make a living wage. Um, PMCs are your headways, your almas, your grows. That's a PMC. So a private, a practice management company. That's what PMC is. Talkspace is a direct service model like BetterHelp. Those are you're working for the company. Those have been sued multiple times for misuse of both client and therapist data. So on a that's ethics just from a professional lens. I argue there are multiple forms, but there's another form of ethics that we need to talk about, especially as therapeutic professionals. And that is a broader ethics. That is an ethic of care. That is a decolonial ethic that includes care for the environment. At present, USian models of these technologies, and we have seen that it can get better. I believe it's DeepSeek, which is a Chinese platform, LLM platform, a rival to OpenAI, essentially, is less energy intensive, but the minerals and things needed to make this technology is coming from genocide and conflict areas. It is being mined by children in the Congo. The data centers needed to power all of this innovation are being placed in Black and brown neighborhoods, and they are drinking them dry and making electricity such that people can't afford heat and electricity. If you've noticed your electric bill has gone up this summer, this is part of it, actually. It is the learning phase of creating LLMs and such take an immense amount of water. The queries take less, but a short query in ChatGPT, just about a sentence or so, like 400 words or less, drinks a bottle of water. And so there are over 50 lawsuits again for copyright against these technologies as well on the content generation side of things, your videos, your images, and your writing, because they are stealing. And OpenAI has come out and said that if they are beholden to current laws, they won't be able to grow fast enough. It is unsustainable if they are not allowed to steal. This is a situation where even your other big, quote unquote, evil companies or corporations are suing AI companies for theft. Disney, Sony, Square Enix, which is a games company, um, Studio Ghibli, they're all suing OpenAI right now. Just like this year alone, there are 50 lawsuits on copyright basis. So when we talk about ethics and what is ethical AI use, we have a lot to address. But we're also in a world where we are not meeting access needs in mental health. And so what we're being told and what we are being asked is, and sorry, I'm putting up the next Slido question, which is how often are you using AI? What we're being sold and what we're being asked is a lot of promises. So how do they hold up? When we have an ethical framework of care for both people and environment, and our professional ethics of integrity, social justice, and care as well, where do we hold up? Where are we? What are we looking at when it comes to both big tech and AI? That's what we're getting into now. I do want to check in for questions, and I want to catch up with the chat really quickly. I've been trying to answer them as I go. Yes, a PMC is different than an EHR. It may include, so EHR is electronic health record. So a practice management corporate company may include an EHR in their suite of offerings. So Headway might have their own EHR and things that you can use. Um, so again, some of these things they overlap, and there's so many acronyms. It's a letter soup, even worse than therapy, which is saying something because we love an acronym. Um, and it is a lot. Um, yeah, and a lot of, even so I use Insura, formerly Theranest, and there is the option to enable uh AI note-taking assistance. There's also the option to disable it. There's lots of options to disable these things. Google all of your Microsoft Suite as they turn on. You can go in and turn them off, but the problem is they are being turned on without consent. And it has been brought up to these companies that, like, hey, that kind of violates the BAAs we all signed. And it introduces a host of liability issues because the other thing that we're seeing is a huge uptick in data breaching. We're seeing people's chat GPT sessions be Googleable. Um, so it is a lot. Yeah, they're targeting a lot of different areas for data centers. Okay, I did we have any other questions through Q&A? I'll take that as a no.
No, no more
Um,
questions.
okay, cool. Um, and so I'm seeing in chat that we have a split between pretty much no use and a few using all the time. Our next poll is, how much do you trust big tech companies? So this isn't, I'm not AI specific here. I'm talking your Apples, your Googles, your Metas, your um, Amazons. As we get into, where are we? All right, let's talk about use. Let's talk about use and attitudes. This is based on Insura's 2025 Future of Therapy survey. It had over 1,300 respondents. However, the bias is obviously these are heavily private practice counselors and social workers, and they're all using Insura because that's how obviously they source from their user base. So do note that with pinches of salt. But on the therapist side, 40% of respondents already using AI for at least one task. 18% of those people are using them for treatment recommendations already. Um, we're also seeing that 79%, despite that use, 79% of respondents are worried that AI jeopardizes client privacy. We also see this kind of echoed and mirrored in the Cyan PMC study, where we saw about 86% of therapists believing that, let me make sure I'm getting my numbers right. One moment. So 96% believed that privacy was a paramount concern. However, 81% did not believe that the PMC companies were doing enough to adequately protect client information. So we're seeing this mirrored across a couple of studies here. Luckily, we've had some recent data come out on that. Um, so but what we're also seeing is that 82% of therapists that responded to this survey reported severe burnout or fatigue. And 98% of respondents did not expect any major progress on the concerns facing therapy, specifically access and equity in the next 5 years. So we have really bleak outlooks. Also, only 4% of clients like therapists using AI as part of their care. So we're in a crunch. We've talked ad nauseum the last couple of days about the um, workforce shortages and the question a lot of people are asking is, oh, how can tech help us? Someone, please, God, help us. So let's talk about some good stuff for a moment, because I know I have been the bearer of bad news. Um, there are some tools that are really cool for different things. Even if it's just helping clients and helping yourself to work how you work best. So when it comes to like administrative and things, there's some really cool gamified like Pomodoro techniques, which is a method of like making sure you get breaks in your work and giving yourself permission to take breaks in your work. And so it comes with a timer and you collect cute little spirits. It's called Spirit City Lo-Fi. I stream it on Tuesdays on my channel all the time. Um, and so stuff like that's really helpful. Apps that help people track and manage their stuff can be really cool. Those tools for better use and for prompting and things, there are uses for these things. There can be, digital therapeutics has some promise to it. We have some ethical questions to consider, and we have some gaps to work out, and it's not great for everyone. Um, but it is there, and we are seeing some cool stuff down the pike. We're seeing even analog games. We're seeing more commitment to the utility and the need for joy and things beyond just like it used to be lip service, and now we're seeing a lot more people understand that no, this is really helpful to get people back connected to hope and joy and things. Um, and so also having better treatment options and knowing how things work. We are doing research. We are looking at things, everything from apps to TMS, um, and trying to nail down what exactly our medicines are doing and not doing, and who they work for and who they don't. We were making a lot of progress before this administration. Um, TMS is a form of mild electric pulse therapy that has been shown to help decrease symptoms in various mood and trauma disorders and experiences. And so we are seeing whether it is just the technology, or whether it is the add-ons, we are seeing more options, which is helpful. We are seeing more ability to connect, right? We are virtual right now. I am a telehealth therapist. My practice is 100% virtual. Um, and I still have clients making huge gains. And I have a lot more clients who can see me, especially as a queer, non-binary, Black therapist. I am a rare breed. And people all over the state of Illinois can see me through technology. And that is beautiful and that does help. There is good here. There can be good here. But we're being promised things. Those things like increased access to high quality services as platforms like BetterHelp and Talkspace and Alma come in. What we're seeing is that those apps, when we stop owning our own practices, when we stop respecting and working for each other, and we put it in the hands of corporations, we decay our own field, and it actually makes it harder for folks to find us. A couple of years ago, I don't know if y'all remembered, but BetterHelp was scraping people's NPI numbers and creating ghost directories that then, when they couldn't contact you, they were directed to BetterHelp and put in touch with their people. And it's caused issues. We've seen suicide hotlines sharing data with Facebook. We have seen uh, queer clients being directed to conversion therapy through BetterHelp. This is resulted in a lot of class action lawsuits, federal lawsuits and sanctions, but we don't have the oversight needed, and these things keep happening. Alma and Headway are both getting sued, or just recently, I think Headway's settled. I think Headway settled their lawsuit recently. As well. And we just keep getting newer versions. And so, ethically and practically, I want to encourage caution. I want folks to really pay attention to who you're signing up to work for and what they're doing, because this also has been, client data being sold, um, and your data. And then, yeah, the two mental health platforms cut pay rates for therapists with United Optum. That's because United Optum is one of the owners of those platforms. And once they got enough therapists, they can lower rates because you have no other option. And once they lower those rates, they can say, well, these therapists are in the same area and they're only using this much. And then they lower the rates for all of us, or they freeze them. We need policies, we need regulation, oversight, and we need to stop using platforms that have shown themselves to be bad faith actors. The other promise is that AI will decrease stress and burnout. A lot of folks, when asked why they, or a couple of folks, when asked why you chose to come here, were you want to decrease your admin stress because paperwork sucks and it takes too much time and it's complicated and annoying and tedious and kind of meaningless. And so I put up the last question and I realized I already gave the answer away on Slido. Sorry. Uh, but y'all, overwhelmingly, no one trusts big tech companies. No one in this room trust, no one who filled out the Slido trusts big tech companies. And so the other thing is, though, then who do you think is making this tech that you're hanging your hat on? Things to think about. So, this study is from South Korea, and it actually shows that AI adoption increases burnout, if not, especially when workers are not properly trained and do not feel like they have self-efficacy and like choice and decision power. AI adoption increased burnout and anxiety in workers. We can't just throw this stuff in and be like, aha, tech god, fix it. There has to be a method. It has to be rolled out, and we need to be trained. How to use it, when to use it, when not to use it, what to do when it goes wrong. How do you get your notes if AI wrote them and the internet goes down? What do you do when you notice that AI has been lying about your client in the medical record and you've already forwarded that over? Questions that need to be done and policies that need to be engaged. Um, the promise, AI and algorithms will decrease bias and improve decision making. We're not seeing that at all. In fact, the bias is being baked in. And we've known this for decades. We had the problem with algorithms and child welfare across the world, and it's the same here. Right now, generative AI, a new study that also just dropped like 2 days ago that I had to read and put in here, um, from JAMA Open Network, which it's open, so y'all can download it too. Um, we're seeing youth turning to AI. Well, I'll get there, but this piece, Black youth who turn to AI for mental health are already reporting that it is less helpful than the helpfulness level reported by their other um, uh, uh, counterparts. So we're seeing that the algorithms on websites are biased towards, there's a huge discussion on LinkedIn right now as well about the algorithm biasing posts that use more feminine language. It's not unbiased. It is using the same data that we said was flawed 2 decades ago. That's the data being used to train these systems. We have to generate better data in order to train these better, because otherwise we can't do it. And even, 3, 4 years ago, we have had the federal government have to step in with the child welfare algorithm in Pennsylvania and shut it down. Oregon had to stop using theirs because they were finding bias against disabled and parents of color, especially Black parents, and it was causing children to be removed from families unnecessarily. Whether it's AI or algorithms, the point is that tech is what we make it. And right now, we are not making it to do what we all in this room most likely are agreeing needs to be done, which is help people. Um, So, also, as mentioned, medical AI telling lies about patients' medical records. You can't just use this stuff. You do still have to check it, which in the time it takes you to check it, you could have written your note. Um, AI chatbots can bridge the gap between need and workforce. This is where, and I know I'm running short on time, this is where we get into the APA's new recommendations. Like I said, they are in the resources handout that you all will be getting. And the AI or APA has now agreed we need to tell people to stop. In the last week alone, 7 lawsuits for people who have completed suicide because of AI chatbots dropped. There are at least 10 this year. Illinois has banned therapy chatbots. I helped provide some of the resources data for that. Um, it is really important to note that at present, the way that these models and these chatbots, chat companions, you will now hear them called, are marketed, regardless of what they say, is very anthropomorphized and incredibly built. It is built to develop false relationship and a false sense of closeness, and they will tell people to kill themselves. They will, um, they have and they will. And we are now seeing the JAMA study I referenced before claims to be representative, though their sample is somewhat small, but it claims to be representative. And so they say that their study represents the reality of 5.6 million youth turning to AI for mental health. Because of the recent lawsuits and things that have come out, we are also seeing that adults are not immune. This is not only youth dying. There was a gentleman who died by suicide by cop because of his conversations with an AI, because these AI are designed to be overly uh, agreeable We also just in general, we have seen just Google's Gemini function in search tell people to drink bleach as a medicine. Just the search engine, not even a chatbot. We have to be doing our diligence. We need to, the APA now agrees, it is in their guidelines that we have to start asking our clients about their use of generative AI. We need to be informing them of the risks and the ways that these technologies can lie to them and exacerbate their symptoms, which means you need to know this stuff like the back of your hand because you're going to be you are now ethically responsible according to the APA for talking to people about the risks of generative AI chatbots and companions and use the same way that you are responsible for talking to them about the risks of substance use and gambling. This is now being put in our purview. AI psychosis is what we are now calling mental health symptoms, delusional thinking, paranoia, etc. What I will say is that Microsoft's own data and things. I forgot to go back. We got to talk about de-skilling before we end. I'm running out of time. Um, what we're also seeing is the more people, lay people and professionals use AI, we are seeing cognitive decay. We are seeing de-skilling. And this is from students writing essays through it to doctors using it for diagnosis and detection. We are seeing people potentially, now there are, again, these are preliminary studies. There's a lot of conversation. We're seeing it very potentially, and even Microsoft's own studies show that consistent use of AI decreases your critical thinking and decision making skills. It has a negative cognitive impact if you're using it repeatedly, and you're worse at being able to tell that you've been compromised. So, we've mentioned some of the other considerations here. Please, if you have questions, be putting them up because we're going to speed run like one. But as I've mentioned, please, if you are using consumer commercial generative AI for your clinical work, stop it. Stop it right now. It is not safe. It is not HIPAA compliant. You're breaking the law. We need more policies. Please advocate for more protection and policies because people are dying in droves. And we need to be diligent in our use, how we're using it, who we're accepting these technologies for, and what they're using. So there's a lot of possibility, there's a lot of hope, but there's a lot of weirdness. I can't even get into the weirdness about who's creating these technologies and the apocalyptic things they believe. Like, please be ethical, be cautious. If you take nothing else today, be ethical, be cautious. These are the ways that you can contact me. I think there's a Q&A here.
Yeah, we have one person asking if you can share your channel if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitch. It's not always like this. It's Mental Lamia. I play a lot of horror games. Play a lot of horror games. So, yeah, but I know I am out of time. I am over time. I am very sorry. But like I said, there is a lot to this. I didn't even scrape the surface here. Um, Thank you. If you have questions, I'll stick around for like a minute or two, but I also know we have lunch and the team needs to reset the rooms in tech, but please let me know if you have questions. Biggest investors in PMCs are are insurance companies, venture capital companies, and tech companies. And in their terms and conditions, they allow for sharing of data a lot. Um, I found a new AI companion that's created by a doctor the other day called Robin, and its terms and conditions and privacy policy are horrific. So that's fun. Yeah, Kara, I'm sorry. It's, yeah, it's a lot. So,
Thank you,
it,
Cassie. I'm sorry. Were you gonna?
no, I was just going to ask if anyone had questions. Otherwise, we should all go.